it is like.
Done. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Before we move forward, I just have a question to introspect. How many of us have ever heard this phrase, either told by somebody around us or we've told this ourselves? It was just a small decision. How many times have we heard this over in our journey? Sometimes we tell it ourselves, sometimes we even think, right? Hey, it was just a small decision, and then we just happily move forward. The question is it really a small decision? And the truth is, there is no such thing as a small decision, especially when you are a leader. Because one small decision can actually outlive your entire quarterly report or yearly report. The numbers might be doing really great, and that is for that particular instant. It can echo, the small decision that you can echo in the team culture for months and years, shaping how people speak up, work, or even shut down in your team. So here's something that I realized in my own journey. I remember a time early in my leadership when a project deadline was slipping. What generally happens when a project deadline is slipping? We all have two options. One, to extend the deadline and keep that quality high, or number two, push the team member harder and deliver on time. As leaders, what is that easy choice that we all have? The latter one, the second one, right? To push the team harder and to deliver on time. And to me as well, back then, it was an easy and a quick call rather than talking to my stakeholders and raising an alarm on the project timelines and getting into a negotiation phase. I thought the easier option was a second option to push my team. So I felt this was a very quick decision that I can take. So I pushed my team, we delivered on time. But after weeks, I felt that the mood of my entire team, the mood in the meeting room was quite different. The meetings got quieter, people became more tight lipped, people even stopped volunteering ideas. And then I realized my decision that was made back in that hour of that project slipping is echoing right now in my teams. And this is leadership karma. It is not a mystical concept that I'm teaching. It is a very real, very practical concept, leadership karma. Every choice we make is sending out a signal, and that signal is shaping a response in your team. And over time, this response ripples, and this response that gets ripple becomes your team culture. And overall, the culture is what gets compounded, and the results show up in your team, in your organization. So, today, I want you to think about your leadership not as a series of KPIs, deadlines, revenues, projects, but as an energy field. Every decision that you make either charges this energy field positively or negatively, which leaves a residue. Now let's move to the next segment when we've now learned that every decision carries an energy. Now let me show you how single decision doesn't just land somewhere, but it is going to keep looping. It travels through people, it becomes patterns, and eventually shows up as results, as business outcomes. And I call this the karma loop model. Now, I would like you to picture a very simple chain when I say karma loop model. It starts with choice, signal, team response, cultural pattern, and long term outcome. Does it stop there? No, it goes on to the next decision that you're making. I'll walk you through this. First, it all starts with a choice, your decision. Every decision you make, be it a tone of an email, who speaks first in your meeting, whether you explain no as your decision, why would you say no? And every choice, every micro choices that you make during your team meeting, during every interaction that you have with your team as a leader, it carries an energy. Let me tell you this. Every decision that you make in your leadership has two sides. It is like two sides of the coin. It is either positively charging the energy field or it is negatively draining the energy field. And there is no middle ground or no neutral choice in leadership. There are only choices with consequences, good or bad. But then these consequences are pretty quiet. And that's how cultures are formed, right? So the second topic in your karma loop is signal. Your choice sends a signal. And it could be, again, as I said, it's two sides of the coin. It could either be safety or it could be threat. And as we all know, that our body is a constant radar scanning either a safety or a threat. And that's the survival mechanism that we all have. And this signal coming right after your decision or choice is going to be categorized either as safety or the threat. And this signal is felt before it is even understood, because energy is felt, right? More than it is understood. So it's the micro moment where the team is like, oh, wow, okay, I'm feeling very safe here. Or they brace up because they feel there is a threat, and then they brace up to get into the next mode, which is flight, fight, or even freeze. Now, what could be a quick example? Let's say you are in a meeting and the leader, as a leader, you say, hey, we are behind. I need clarity very fast. And what is it? When you say this with all your emotional fast response that you would want, people will definitely consider this as a threat. It's fear that we are embedding into the team. So you see how it is working, right? It starts with the decision of how do you want to, what choice that you're making. The second one is the signal that you're sending, either the threat or the trust signal that you're sending. The third one is so natural as a team response. So the third topic is team response. People respond to the signal. So as I said, threat or trust. If the room feels safe, what you get from your team as a leader is their truth, their ideas, their accountability or ownership. Whereas on the other side, if you're going to make them feel unsafe, threatened, fear, what do you get as a leader? You get your team's silence, pleasing, people pleasing behavior that they give, or even defensiveness because of flight, fight, or freeze response, right? Defensiveness is one of the fight back response. Humans don't resist change. We all think that humans resist change. Please let us understand. Humans don't resist change. They resist the feeling of unsafe while it is happening. If you can make them feel safe during a change, they will very gladly accept the change. So it is all upon the leader how we are going to make your team feel safe, even if it's going to be a huge change that is going to come in the, and you have made a huge decision of a organizational change. If you can deliver the same news by making them feel safe, they will adapt it. They will accept your decision. Whereas if you're going to tell even a smallest of a decision, which is not going to affect them in any way, in a more threatening manner, they are going to resist it, right? So now moving on to the fourth topic, which is the cultural pattern. Now repeat that response enough times, it becomes a pattern. If you continue to keep telling them something like, we don't challenge leaders here, we don't share half-baked ideas. Do you understand what you're telling them? You're telling them, shut up, don't tell me if you do not have a full-fledged ideas. And nobody gets a full-fledged idea during a meeting. What you're doing when you say we don't share half-baked ideas, you're shutting your team down of that spontaneous creativity, spontaneous innovation. And continuously, if you're going to tell this enough times, it becomes a pattern. We wait for approval. What does this mean? You become that leader who would like the control in your approval. We wait for approval. So this becomes a cultural pattern. Patterns become how do we do things around here? AKA the culture, the team culture that we're talking here. So that is our cultural pattern. Now let's talk about the next step, which is a long term outcome. Because culture compounds outcomes. This could be anything, right? It could be your innovation, it could be attrition, it could be the speed at which you work, the performance of your team, the loyalty that the team carries with you. And here's the loop back, these outcomes shape your next set of choices. Because as I said, this is a loop. Even the long term outcomes that we are talking doesn't stop there. It goes on to your next decision, the choice that we made, the first topic that we saw. Leaders say, see, people don't speak up. But the loop started 2 steps earlier at the signal. I can comfortably say my team is like that. They don't speak up. Why do they don't speak up? You're looking at the outcomes right now. But the outcome is because of the 2 steps earlier when you gave a signal of threat, right? So it's very, very essential for us to look at how are we shaping. So now I'm going to tell you 2 stories. Let's get into this karma loop more in detail, all right? So let's get into a positive loop and a negative loop. Let's start with negative loop so that we understand how positive loop works. So with the negative loop, let's say a director hears a bad news and he says, "Oh God, why did you escalate this earlier?" in a very hot tone. So what is the choice that he made when somebody blew a whistle or somebody gave a risk about a project? What is the choice? A flavored question. He said, "Why didn't you escalate this earlier?" He blamed the person who has raised the concern. That's the choice, negative choice that the leader has made. Now, what is a signal? Threat? Because you're blamed. Anybody who is blamed gets into the threat response. It's a danger feeling that a person gets. As I mentioned, the human brain detects threat or danger in less than 200 millisecond. It is not because a tiger is standing in front of you. It can also not be just a fire alarm broke and it can sense danger. The brain can sense danger as subtle as your boss's tone of voice. It is all the same for the brain. It's just, are you safe? Are you unsafe? So now the signal that you have given is danger. Now let's look at what is a team's response. People want to protect themselves, isn't it? When they are in a threat feeling, all they want to do is to survive. So the survival is what they wanted to do as a team response. And what is the pattern? No one brings you risk, right? Because you're going to ask as a leader, hey, why did you escalate this earlier? An outcome, issues do not surface early. And this is the biggest risk that any team could actually have. Issues come very late. Rework, a lot of firefighting that happens because people have shut themselves down. They do not want to bring the risks quite early. They will bring the risks which has already happened, and it is too late to fix that. Now let's look at a positive loop that you can bring in, the positive karma loop that you want to bring in as a leader. Same moment, something is slipping away. A person has raised a risk with you. Let's look at how the director will respond. The director says, "Hey, thanks for flagging this now. Let's work on what are the impacts and how do we go about it." Now, what is the choice that he made? The decision that he made? He chose to appreciate that person who has brought this problem. and the clarity on how do we move forward. Let's map the impact. Let's work on the solution, isn't it? So, appreciation plus clarity. And what is a signal? Safety. And he's appreciated. So, there's a reward. And reward something that people would like. And there's a very clear direction on how to move forward. So, those are the signals that the team member receive from the leader. And what is the response that the team members or the team members will do? Oh, even if I'm going to bring half baked risks, my manager or my leader is going to heartily accept it and work on it. So there is an open information flow. So this is a response of your team member. So next comes the pattern. What happens? They start sharing early risk information. They start blowing the whistle more freely. There's more ideas which flows in. And the outcome, fewer surprises, faster pivots, stronger trust. And all of this is a sign of a good team. And that's how very closely we'll have to work. Now you see how this whole karma loop works, right? And then the outcome is again managed to bring to the next decision. If your team is going to move very openly, imagine the kind of decisions that the leaders will start continuing to take. It's going to be even more amazing, isn't it? So, culture doesn't start with the HR. It starts in you as a leader in the last three decisions that you're making. So let us be mindful on what are the decisions, even the smallest micro decision that we're making. Let us make sure that we are very aware of our decisions. So next, before you get into any high stake interactions or even a low stake interaction, please be aware of your choice. What am I actually choosing right now? What is a signal that you're giving? You're either putting your team into reward or the threat mode. And the response, you can think for your own team. How would I react if I was there on the other side? And we're all humans, we all react the same. The pattern, if this repeats, what culture am I creating in my team? And fifth one, the outcome. Will that habit get us where we want to go? The business outcomes that I want to create, the successes as a team that I wanted to create. Ask for yourself all these questions. If the answer is no, change your choice, change the signal, and the response pattern and outcome will align automatically. Now, to do that, I'm going to share with you three tools: how to see energy in every decision, how to clean your energy, and how to reset it if something has already gone wrong. Right? Let's start with the tool number one, the decision energy matrix. Let's get into it. So, if every decision carries energy, my question is, how do we know that if that energy will build trust or break it? Right? It's a conscious decision that we all have to make as a leader, isn't it? So that's where I would like to introduce the decision energy matrix. So now imagine this decision energy matrix as a 2 by 2 grid, okay? There's two axes as always. One axis is going to talk about the energy of your team. How are they going to respond, right? The other axis is going to be impact. So the impact is either high or low, and your energy is either constructive or destructive. So every decision that you make as a leader will make you land in one of these four quadrants. Okay. Now we are going to walk through the quadrants. The first one, which is an important one, is low impact destructive energy. So the cultural potholes that you all have, like a sarcastic email that you write, the emails that you don't write at all, a public remark in a meeting, these all may seem tiny, but we all know that this leaves a residue that lingers. For now, it is only looked at as one kind of an event which has happened. So that's why I put this under a low impact and destructive energy. But then please remember, even it's the smallest of a topic, it will linger in the mind of your people. So the next quadrant that I want to talk about is low impact constructive energy. And that's that feel good factor that you have, ordering cakes for Friday. I used to do donuts monthly once. I order donuts and take it to my team. So all of these rituals, tiny, nice rituals that you do is a nice morale booster. But these are low impact, which means they don't move the needle much. Everybody comes, enjoys, but it doesn't impact much. So these are both in the low impact quadrant: destructive energy, constructive energy. Now let's move on to the high impact zone, right? High impact, destructive energy. And this is a danger zone. These are decisions that matter a lot, that carry negative energy if your decisions are wrong. For example, you're restructuring a change in your organization, and you just went about and made an announcement without making a context meaning, why did I take a decision, how does it impact people, what are all the factors that you considered, how is it going to affect people, right? Without any context, you just drop the news like a bomb that, hey, there is this restructuring, this and this. Isn't this a high impact decision that you have taken? It is impacting the team. And why is it in the destructive zone? Because you dropped it like a bomb without even giving a context to the team. And this will live in your team's nervous system for months because they feel unsafe. Okay, new restructure, new manager, new ways of working. How am I going to feel? And the impact will continue to be in your team's nervous system. And that's high impact and destructive energy. Now, let's look at high impact and constructive energy. This is where I would love for all of you to make your decisions or make your decisions that land in this particular quadrant: high impact and high constructive energy. These are the golden standard decisions that you make. They shape the future, they inspire the team, they reinforce the values, all of that that makes it a positive feeling for the team to move forward with you. For example, choosing to invest in a team development during a cost cutting season. Everybody knows it's a cost cutting season, but you as a leader have made a conscious choice to invest in a team development activity. It tells your team you value them beyond the numbers, you value them beyond the money. Or even the previous example that we did, right? Talking about a restructuring. Now, imagine you as a leader sharing this restructuring information to your team with a lot of context, and tell at the last that this is a restructuring which is done for the team to shape the future, to bring better portfolio, to bring better values. And that is when your decision will land in the high impact constructive energy quadrant, right? That's the four quadrants. Now, here's the kicker: most leaders don't mess up in quadrant, that low impact, or even if they do, that's low impact, right? The real damage happens in quadrants, which is that high impact destructive, high impact constructive. And they don't feel big in that moment, but let's remember that the energy sticks for a longer time. The nervous system that we have impacted as a leader will stay with them for a very long time. I once, saw a leader who approved a last minute change in a client presentation without even telling the presenter. Sometimes we might have done it ourselves, right? Small action, isn't it? To change bit of a client presentation. But you feel the impact the presenter will have. And in this case, the presenter found out in front of the client during the presentation. And he felt utterly humiliated. And that one moment started a slow breakdown in the trust. And it took years of continuous ripples and culture. And then eventually one day the person quit. So, how do you keep yourself out of these destructive quadrants? Making cleaner calls, the decisions that we make, let's make it more cleaner. So the next tool that I wanted to give is all about this. How do we not end up in that destructive quadrant? That's the second tool that I want to introduce is that emotional audit for your decisions. So if every decision energy is going to create even either a constructive or a destructive force, where your choices land matters a lot. And where your choice lands will depend on your emotional audit that you will do before you make the decisions. And that will help you take cleaner decisions in first place. So the first thing is the setup. Most leaders run decisions through financial models, operational feasibility, risk analysis, a lot of frameworks that we all have when we have to learn the leadership decision framework, right? Today also I learned a framework called Sinafin framework. It basically talks about which quadrant you'll have to identify the challenge to be lying in which quadrant, and it gives you a set of actions that you need to take as a leader. So we all operate on a lot of frameworks. But I have a question to ask. Have you ever thought about thinking about that emotional aftertaste that you are going to leave on your team, on your stakeholders because of this decision? And that's exactly where hidden karma is getting created. The three emotional filters that I want you to take, that I want you to go through every time you make a decision. All right, the three emotional filters: clarity, clarity, alignment, and echo. All right, so the first one is clarity. Is my thinking clean? It's a very simple question that you can ask. Is my thinking clean? Am I deciding from my calm and grounded self, or am I taking a decision through my from my ego, through the biases that I carry, through the fatigue that I'm going through, or the irritation that I'm having right now? I may make a decision. Next time, I'm not going to work on this particular project anymore. Let's say no to this particular project from now on. Is this a decision coming in from your calm and grounded clarity, or it is coming from the frustration of having a low point in the project? You imagine, right? The kind of decisions that you're taking is going to affect your company, your team. So always start asking a question: is my thinking clean? If you're mentally foggy or emotionally charged, let us understand that the quality of our decision is already compromised. And hence, I want you to go through this first emotional filter: am I thinking clean? Very simple, right? The second one is the alignment. And very important to ask this question: does this decision align with the value and culture I want to create? Every decision is either reinforcing or eroding culture. There's only two sides of the coin, right? As I mentioned, there's never a middle ground, there's no a neutral phase, because every decision is going to have two sides of the coin. So when it comes to culture, you either reinforce it or you erode it. So ask: if my team saw the why behind this choice, would it inspire or disappoint them? Very simple question, right? And that will give you an alignment to the value and culture. And one of the value that all of the leaders should have, in my humble opinion, is to act with a sense of integrity. So asking this question to ourselves: if my team saw the why behind this choice, would they be inspired or would they be disappointed? And one of the things that I really carry still deep in my heart is one of my mentor told me that, Kavina, people around you are smart. They will see right through your decision. They will see right through your words. So even if we do not tell them the reason behind our decision, people are smart enough to understand. So it's better to align before you let the decision out. If my team saw why behind the decision, will they be inspired or will they be disappointed? That's alignment for us. So now the third emotional filter is echo. What is it likely to be the emotional aftertaste that I'm creating with the team? Think about the morning after effect. How will this feel for people the next day? How will this be for people the next week? How will be this for people the next month? Again, two sides of the coin. Will it leave them engaged, inspired, or will it leave them anxious, resentful? Right? I once worked with a VP who used to use this audit before denying a team's request for this extra project timeline. Initially, he always went about saying no, no, no right away when he knew there was a no. But after running through these filters, he realized his impatience was driving the decision, not the actual needs of the team or actual needs of the project. So, what he did after going through those emotional filters is that he chose to offer a compromise instead of that straightaway no. Partial extension of deadlines, partial extension of resources. And what was the result? The team felt very supported. And that is a whole new way of looking at it. No, how the energy might feel. And the partial extension, how supported the team might feel. So, decision making isn't just about your outcomes, it is about that emotional aftertaste, the emotional residue that you're going to leave behind with your team. So now I want you to think about this emotional audit, right? What we spoke about, the three emotional filters. I want you to think about it as a mental broom. It keeps the floor clean before you walk in. So start cleaning. Ask yourselves the question: am I thinking clean? The clarity. Second thing is this alignment. If my team saw the why behind my decision, will they be inspired or will they be disappointed? The echo. What is the emotional aftertaste of after this decision? How will they feel tomorrow? How will they feel next week? How will they feel next month? And this will keep it very clean for you. So with that, this we spoke about the first tool, which was all about the quadrants, the decision energy quadrant, and see where you want to land in the quadrant. The second one is your emotional broom that we spoke about. The third one is that reset method. If you've already made a mistake, because leaders means we are not all uh, people who do not make any mistakes. We are people who make mistakes, but the great leaders are the ones who will work on their mistake and make it the right. So what if the horse has already been bolted, meaning you've already made a decision that is like rippling in a very wrong way, creating tension, creating a lot of mistrust, disengagement. If you've already done that, the good news is that the ripples can be redirected. And that's where I would like to introduce you to that ripple reset method. So think of it as a leadership damage control that you can do. It it is not about pretending that the mistake never happened, but this ripple reset is all about acknowledging the mistake and changing the signal that we spoke in the karma loop, right? Changing the signal and reinforcing the new pattern. Again, we are going back to the karma loop. So let's quickly look at four steps which comes along with this ritual ripple reset method. So the first one is to acknowledge publicly. Because when you make a mistake, people would have already felt it. It is only right for us to make that first move with acknowledging the mistake. So don't let the story go on in whispers, right? Because we just saw that Every decision has a consequence, and the consequences are pretty quiet. So let us not let that story go on. You can just go about and say, I realized the way I handled this particular problem that may have created a confusion, and that was not my intent, and here's what I want to do. So first thing is to publicly acknowledge. The second thing is to reset the tone. Immediately shift the emotional climate or reset the emotional climate of the team. We all know that we are the thermostats of the team. We are not just the thermometer which will measure the temperature. We are the thermostats which sets the temperature of the emotional climate of your team. So how can you do it? That can be done through a clarifying meeting, a return email, or simply changing your energy in your next interaction with a person. And this is the first ripple that you're sending out for the changed behavior as a leader. Now, the next one is to model new behavior because people do not start immediately trusting by the first instance. So, we need to start modeling behavior. People believe what they see, what not you say. So, if you want to collaborate with your team member and create a decision, start doing a bottom up decision making. You need to actively invite inputs. You need to be more optimistic after a bad news. You need to basically model solutions along with your team, and these are certain things where you model your new behavior. See what small change that you want to do. So this is not just you speaking as you spoke in the first time when you said, okay, I made a mistake, you publicly apologize. The next one is to make, you don't just say, you act. The next one is to reinforce consistently. One reset isn't enough. You need to keep sending new signals before it until it becomes a dominant ripple. Think of it like driving that Titanic. You see an iceberg. How do you pivot? You don't pivot it with one turn of the steering wheel, right? You do it multiple times. And that is when a course correction happens. It's similar in leadership as well. So acknowledge publicly, reset the tone, model your new behavior, and most importantly, reinforce consistently when people will start believing you. So once you know how to redirect your ripples, the final piece is in how consistent that you do. So with that, I want to quickly talk about 5 micro moments where you're actually creating your decisions and letting your team know how it is creating a culture. The first response to bad news is the one that we saw, right? Somebody told, hey, there is a risk, and how do you respond? When somebody brings you bad news, do not shoot the messenger. Thank them by flagging it. Thank you very much for flagging the risk. And then quickly take them to the next direction. Clarity and direction that you give as a leader is very important. The second micro moment, which will help you shape the whole culture, is the first 2 minutes of your meeting. Again, be the thermostat. How are you getting into a meeting? How are you setting the tone of your meeting? How are you setting vision for your team? What is the energy that you carry? Are you calm? Are you grounded? And that sets the emotional climate of your team. And we know energy is contagious. We catch energy, we catch emotions like the way we catch cold. You be the carrier of the good energy. The third thing is who you listen to the most in your team. I read an article recently on how things changed positively when a leader had decided to let go of the high performing team member. I was a bit shocked when I read the headline, but it really makes sense. Who you listen to the most, your listening time is your currency value. You should not be only concentrating on two or three voices in your team which are all the high performers, because the message that you're sending to the rest of the team is that your input doesn't matter. The fourth one is, how do you handle dissent? When someone challenges you, what is your first move? Are you getting defended? Or are you getting curious to understand why is somebody challenging? And then take it as a fuel to change, course correct yourself. And the fifth one, very important one is, how do you end your conversation? Because closing leaves the deepest imprint. And that's what I talk about, the emotional aftertaste. If you end with reassurance, if you end with clarity, if you end most importantly with appreciation, people walk away fueled. People walk away inspired. But on the other hand, if you're going to end your conversations and meetings making them feel ambiguous, criticized, they walk away drained and they will never come back to you. So let us understand that the decisions are all happening in the way you set your tone very subtly. And the cost that we all pay for all this unconscious karma that we do during our leadership is really, really huge. Today, your leadership KPI might look very nice. You've got very good revenue. You've got decent engagement scores. Your numbers are perfect on your leadership dashboard. But the real question is, 1 year later, what is going to happen? If you do not carry good leadership karma through your decision making, you might start seeing spike in attrition, exit interviews talking about the lack of trust, innovation pipeline getting dried up. And all of this doesn't happen overnight. It is a slow process which gets churned in your team. And it is all because of the decision, smallest of a decision that you take in your team. So, to wrap up, we did look at what is the karma loop and how each of our decision travels through various stages in your team, and then it is going to loop and loop. If you're going to do it in a negative cycle, it is going to bring your team ve- deep down. Or if you're going to keep the loop on a higher energy, it is going to elevate your team better. And then we looked at three tools: the decision energy matrix. It is to map the impact and the energy of your choices. So you decide where you want to leave, right? You should always be in the constructive zone. And most importantly, your decisions has to land in the high impact constructive zone. Or sometimes, yeah, you can do all the low impact constructive zone as well. The second one is the karma, the emotional audit, the emotional broom as a tool that we used. Keep a check on your clarity, keep a check on your alignment and the echo before you decide anything. That's to keep your leadership clean. And the third one is the residue reset tool. If a problem has happened, if you've left an emotional residue, how are you going to reset it? So start working with all the three and go back to the last decision that you've made and map it along with your decision energy matrix. Where did it land? Use your karma loop model, how your choice has gone through the signal, through the response, to the pattern, to the outcome, and how it is going to go on in circles. You can also go back and re-verify it. Apply an emotional audit to the last decision that you have taken and see how, in case you have created a negative ripple, then you see how you can apply the residue reset and make it more meaningful. And this is a power of integration. You're not just making decisions, you're shaping culture with intention as a leader. And once you see the echo that is happening in your team, you can never unsee it. So, with that, the question really is, as a leader, what is that legacy that you want to build? It's what you energetically leave behind, and every room that you walk into is either cleaner or it is heavier, and the choice is yours. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Kavina. You covered it so beautifully,
Thank you,
addressing each
Shabana.
points. So now Premji wants to share, so I'll just spotlight him along with you.
Sure.
Yes, yes, Premji.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something to clarify a point, particularly in today's market or today's scenario. I find that there's a lot of uh, mentoring going on out there, and the challenge is when mentor A tells something to mentor B, and downline it goes to mentor C, and finally down the track, the original message of mentor A and mentee D is totally different in culture, in scope, in so many even theme. How does the person in the middle redress this? You feel, well, that could have been a relook at the whole thing. How do you go back to the starting track?
Starting track to our original leadership, right? So
Yeah.
if I've understand the question right, if we as a mentee, as a leader, we have multiple mentors, mentor A, mentor B, and mentor C, and there's a lot of transformation which gets happen, and how do we go back, right? So this is something that I have also went through myself, and thanks for bringing a most relevant question for a lot of leaders who have a lot of mentors. And what I have seen is that having our leadership mapped more so with the values is something which will be that north star for us. And going through the mentoring of different mentors will only give us more frameworks, will only give us more ways of handling a situation. But then we hold on to our true north star, which is our values, what kind of a leader that we are. One of my mentor, I have great gratitude for him. He has taught me leadership in the rawest form, and he's been a very high energy to do kind of a mentor. But sometimes it doesn't really land well for me because the way I operate as a leader, I'm a more subtle, more elegant as a leader, and I can't take aggressive decisions a lot of times. So I also do take aggressive decisions, but not for low impact decision making that I love to do. So in those situations, I take the lessons that he has taught me. I take the decisions that he teaches me to take, but I do it in a more subtle manner because that's the way that I want to operate. So the true north is our style, our value system that we carry. This is something that I could more so relate and tell you. I hope that answers.
Yeah, it does. It does relate. I can relate to what you're saying. Yeah.
True, because I've felt this as well. I've been mentored by a lot of people. I still do get mentored by a lot of people. So, what I started doing is that earlier I used to get a holistic mentoring on leadership. Now I map my leaders to their best of their leadership. So I now go to particularly choose one mentor for the kind that he is really an expert on. I get mentored on technology, on business by one person. I even get mentored on the value system by one person because I really love the value that he carries as a leader. So I challenge myself on my value system, and then I keep going back to him on the value. So I now have categorized my mentors and then seek only in that specific area where they are experts on. So what happens is that we truly have that broad base as a leader ourselves. We're just going to pick from the buffet and then keep modifying it. That's something that I've done. I don't know if it's the right answer, but something that I've done through years.
I
Thank you
can
for that.
I can appreciate the paradigm from which you're coming. I can relate to that. It resonates with me because you mentioned about quality, integrity. It resonates, and
Yes, sir.
especially when you feel very sincere and very thoughtful about it, I can relate to that.
Yes, sir. So one more thing that I have realized is that when we get mentored, along the way, we also pick up the insecurities that our mentors have. They have their own insecurities because they're also humans for that matter. So we also pick up the insecurities. And I have done that earlier. And then I realized made an examination on myself, and then now when I take something my mentor tells, I apply a lot of my brain behind it to see if where it is coming from. Is it really important for me to take it?
True.
So I apply that so that I become that leader that I am, and I don't constantly keep shifting, because being mentored by a lot of leaders, it's a question that I keep asking myself: am I changing too much? Is it for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons? Thank you, sir. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. Rajvin, do you want to share?
Hey, Rajwin.
Okay, my leadership from let me say from the work dynamics. Yesterday, I decided to put a prop on my head. Yesterday, the caregiver's niece decided to put a prop on my head. I really like. So from my leadership point of view, work point of view, I have transformed from action to transformation, in the sense that people like me, people appreciate me and everything. And then yes. And then from the family dynamics, I have actually learned that siblings are, I have to be attached, but not attached so much. So I am attached to my brother, and I'm attached to my parents, and I'm attached to my caregivers. And I've realized that, nothing is permanent. So even though my nephew says anything, my sister's son says anything, I said, leave it be. I get my dad to handle it. So all in all, I think every Wednesday every Tuesday you deliver very, very good, because I'm looking for this kind of topics, because as communication strategies, I think one should, if the other person is upset, the other person should empathize. That's what laughter yoga leader is. And if uh and if my sister comes in and doesn't say hello, so I have the right to talk it out during dinner. I don't keep it inside. Well, that's me. Straightforward, point blank. You like me, well and good. You don't like me, leave. And then uh point, you see, what I before I end my conversation with you today. Laughter yoga is all about health, happiness, and world peace. So before I leave this world, I'm going to achieve world peace. Means everybody's in peace. Everybody I know is healthy, happy, and achieve world peace for their for their own blissful moment. So I think laughter is a magical communication that connects people from, and then it allows it allows it allows me to after hypnotherapy, it allows me to let out my feelings, so that I said, hey, I don't once I something's on my mind, I don't harp on it again. Even if the person brings up, and if the person doesn't forgive me, I will bring it up again until the person forgives me, because I don't want to let it be a communication barrier. And that's how I see it. That's how I see it between me and my sister. Because my sister is a very nice person, and she is boiled up with my nephew's worries and all. So she's not able to release it in the way that it should be released. But yeah, so well done, Kavina. I will see you on the next session. Thank you. See you next
Thank you
week.
for the share, Rajvin. Over to you, Shaban.
Thank you so much, Rajvin. Thank you, Kavina. It was really a wonderful session. And I think these talks definitely make us more aware about everything that we do, be more conscious, and every area of life, not just office. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.